Twisted Foods was going to thrive in a city. So I told Kade I want to do Nashville. At this time, he was probably already embezzling. That was over 2 years ago now. Kade said yes immediately. Did he say yes because he was embezzling and he didn't want to get caught and I could have caught him 2 years ago? Did he say yes because he really believed in my dreams? Did he say yes because he truly believed in me, or he knew he could do more embezzlement at that point? So Kade said yes. Kade said yes. We moved on to Nashville. We signed $1 million loan. And I say signed $1 million loan. This is going to be the interesting part of all this. Kade brought a fake loan up to Twisted Foods. We did a whole commencement day. Yay, Rosa's signing, we're going to Nashville. All the staff was a part of it. But come to find out, that loan was not even real. It was not even from a bank. So all this time we thought we had a loan. We had not. Where those funds came from, we now, well, we don't quite know, but we know. They were part of probably the Jonesboro counties. The construction crew that did it was from Jonesboro. I got to build my dream from the ground up. I moved to Nashville and I started a new life. I started a new dream. I had a glass front apartment. At this point, we had quite a few Nashville workers when I had moved, and we were about to start interviewing for the Nashville actual store. I got to build this thing from stud up. They call it a white shell. It was given to me in a white shell, and basically all the base, and then I got to put the inside bases, the walls, the ceilings, the design, the layout. So I laid out on a piece of paper with my sister-in-law, I remember it, how I wanted Twisted Foods to look inside. I got to put all the way to the light shades of what I liked up in Twisted Foods. Like, if you got to build a home from the ground up, and you know how momentous that is, how 50 years later, that's something you love and you give your kids, or you built all your memories there. That was me. Little did I know I wasn't gonna have it. This should be the happiest moment of my life, right? So we did our groundbreaking ceremony. Biggest point of my life. My chest had relieved itself. I knew Mariah and Melbell were there for me long term. And this was going to be the most epic moment. Did I think I could make it? I don't know. But at this point, I learned that years of dedication would at least make ends meet. And my whole goal was just to pay my bills and say I've done it. I had to say I did a second location. I had to say that my concept didn't just work here. My concept worked everywhere. There's nothing weird with Kade at this point. Twisted Foods is still doing good. During the midst of COVID, it's the scariest thought. People are calling and they're going, I've lost my job. I'm gonna have to quit meal prep. Every day it was like, how much business will we lose? Oh my God, oh my God. And our heart's hurting for these people, and our heart's hurting for us, and we're wondering if we're gonna make it. And then we learned to adjust with less, and we learned how to help others by discounting and doing things that we could, and make a little less for us, but to keep going. And that's what we chose to do. And we were thriving. At that point, you know, we talked about last video, we're at 20 and 50 people. At this point, Twisted Foods was prepping 150 people a day during COVID. We had to quit accepting clients because I couldn't work my workers anymore. What we used to could run and stuck there on a Friday night till 10 or 11 p.m. because of 50 people, we didn't know how to do it. We're now running 150 people in 12 hours because my concept because my concept worked. It worked. It was real. It was a real business. It made it. It took $1.2 million to build out Nashville, supposedly. Then we made it to our soft opening. Soft opening went great in Nashville, a little slower because of COVID. It was a little scary. We actually pushed back the opening. Workers come in, tons of them, and we pay all their fees in hotels, and they do drugs, and the drugs were maybe supplied by somebody at Twisted Foods in Jonesboro. We have no clue, but at this point we had pictures of pooping on the wall, of cigarette burns, and I know this is deep and dark, but this is what happened. And I get pictures from the hotel manager of a destroyed hotel room. This was all very close into Kade's arrest. Anyways, moving on. Nashville. So I spent 6 months of my life driving to Nashville on the weekends, and then some people also starting to drive where I could just stay there on the weekends. And I would just sit in the parking lot all day and wait on people to show up, meet them, build relationships, say hello, start working on their diets. I mean, I was starting from where I started 6 years ago, all over. And then a week before, I had a phone call. Rose, we're gonna put a lien on your property. Excuse me, Andrew? Yeah, we're gonna put a lien on your property. Your $90,000 bill hasn't been paid. We paid off our loan note in $90,000 chunks. So I had to ask Andrew, why am I just hearing about this? How long does it due? Well, everybody wanted to know if they had a red flag from Kade. Well, here's mine. Everybody had one, right? Like everybody had a red flag. This is how close we are. We are 2 weeks out from Kade being arrested here on June 29th. So at that point, he's like, no big deal, Rose. As long as he gets it in, like, I'm not worried about it. Sent me flowers for my opening weekend. Super nice about it all. And Kade had till that Friday morning by noon to get it in. So this was the first time I'd ever confronted Kade in our 6 years of business. This was 2 hours from our cameras going live. I pulled Kade outside, and I just remember he looked ghost white. Turned ghost white, and I'm like, do you have something you want to tell me? Because I ended up making all of us get in a group message. He's like, no, I'll just handle. No, you won't be handling it. Do you have something to tell me? At least if you have something to tell me, at least let me know. This is totally a joke back then. Like just saying things, yet they were actually going to be real. I had told the Arkansas Gazette or something that like a joke. If you're doing something, like at least let me in on it. And he's just white-faced and he's like, don't worry about it. He says, my accountant has messed something up. And I'm like, when have you had an accountant? And he's like, I've always had one for the farm, for this, for that. Okay, makes sense. Either way, I want his name and number tomorrow. Okay, whatever. I walked past him probably 500 times. He's down in Nashville working with me, putting all the programs, all the systems up. And I'm like, got that number yet? Hey, you got that number yet? Hey, you got that number yet? At this point, we had all the Nashville workers there. And that night, we all worked all day, all the time. And then when it was time to go home, it's like, all right, Kade, take us out to eat. We're tired. He's like, I'll grab y'all. We'll do some dinner, whatever. So I get in the car and I'm like, hey, how about that accountant? And he goes, well, funny story. We raided his house. We got everything back. The payment will be made. Okay, I'm already like super uncomfortable. I feel so uncomfortable about it that the next morning I traced that number. Well, that number at least goes back to the city that, you know, he's saying. And so I'm like, okay, well, nobody answers, of course, because it probably wasn't a real number. It was not a real number. And I'm like, okay, well, we only have till tomorrow at noon, so I'll just wait. So I did. I just waited, acted like nothing was wrong. Kade was a little more defensive at this time, but again, I really hadn't spent time with him in 6 years. Nashville was our closest time. We opened Monday. My staff comes down Friday for another soft opening. We did the 2. And then our next Monday, June 29th, something happened. And I get a call, probably about 9 a.m. God, I wish I could look back through my phone. I don't answer. It's Kade. I'm like, Kade, it's Monday, bro. It's meal prep Monday. Like, don't call me. He calls Siku, my other manager. He doesn't answer. We're busy. It's meal prep Monday. It's our second Monday open. And I didn't answer. And then, I don't even know what time it was, 10:30. It wasn't lunch because I hadn't let my staff break for lunch yet. My GM of Jonesboro calls me, and I know that only if she calls me is it a dire need. Don't call me unless you're dying. Maybe she called Siku, and Siku came to the line and said, hey, let's go outside now. Mariah needs us. So we go outside. Then she says, Kade's been arrested. Excuse me? Okay. She didn't really waver. Kade's been arrested for embezzlement. Okay. We just found out. We don't know anything else. We just know he's not getting out, Rose. Okay. It's Meal Prep Monday. What would you like me to do? Don't freak out, she says. Mariah, I'm going to need to go work. Call me later. Next phone call. Jetting Construction, literally. I said I wouldn't say their name, but they're the first person that called me. Rose, we've just found out. We know what's going on. Please don't worry about anything. We will figure it out together. Okay? At this point, I am a girl. I'm a woman. I'm stuck in another city. Alone. I don't have any family. I have opened $1 million facility. And I immediately, if Kade's arrested, like, I got it. I got how big it was. Wow. I'd like to slap me in the face how big it was. All I know is that, I don't know. I just know I have to keep working. I have to keep working. I have to keep prepping boxes. I got to get these 50 people out. Lawyers, newspapers. Everybody's calling me. Are you okay? Rose, you need to protect yourself. You need to go get a restraining order. You need to do this. What did you know? I'm just like, I'm trying to get through Meal Prep Monday. People quit calling me. Everything had halted. I don't know what to do, so I keep going. I go home that night, and I don't know how to function. I'm like, I gotta open some wine, but I gotta be at work at 6:50. I call all the staff off the next day. So I called everybody off, but I forgot to call this one girl off. And everything in Nashville was shut down. You know, COVID was full on. It was weird. The riots were huge. Remember those workers that did the drugs in the hotel room that night? How does that same night they robbed my store? I had cameras. I have the whole thing on video. Pretty crazy. You can see it. Here's them breaking into my store. And they broke in because they wanted the money I wouldn't pay them to get home from Nashville. And I didn't pay their last paycheck because they did drugs and cost us a whole hotel room. And we fired them on like I don't even remember, a Tuesday. It was stupid. So at this point, Kade's been arrested. I've lost everything. I have not gone home. And my family keeps calling. Rose, you need to come home. You need to come home. You need to come deal with what this is. And I'm like, deal with it. It's not my problem. I now have 2 businesses that cannot stay. One cannot stay afloat if I'm not here. And later on in the week, Rose, you need to come home. This is worse than you think. Nobody knew he had embezzled $1 million. Like, just thought Kade was in trouble for stealing some money. I go home. I'm greeted immediately by, I voluntarily am greeted immediately by a county official, the lawyer of the county, the judge, whatever. We talk about everything. We talk about what I know versus what they know. And I don't know if you want to call investigated, but I'm investigated and it's all done in about 3 days. I'm like, look, here's the main deal. I didn't write any checks for literally my whole lifetime. It's just foods because it wasn't the CFO, and our operating agreement stated that I didn't spend any money, and so I was just given a paycheck so I could swipe my own debit card, and was never given any money unless I was asked, or unless I would ask to use extra, even going to Walmart, whatever. Okay, well, after they go, oh wow, you don't write any checks, honey. No, I didn't, because that was our operating agreement and I stuck to that. So the county let me off of that. The county also wanted me to open back Nashville and pay them money on a monthly basis. And I'm like, so now I've moved mine. You want me to figure all this out here? I just shut down. You want me to try to reopen? You want me to move my entire life back there and try this again and then pay Jonesboro for no, ain't happening. Ain't happening, right? This is getting into all this shit that Kade brought. As the week I'm home, it's a phone call saying, Rose, Kade's check has bounced. Why are we just now cashing it 4 weeks later? I'm unsure, but we are. Rose, Kade has not paid the taxes. Rose, we have another bill unpaid. Rose, Kade hasn't paid your bank note in a couple months. But we're 480 some days later and it's not over. This man is at home. He hasn't gone to trial. He has just left me to wonder. You can build 10 years of hopes and dreams. I wish I just had text messages from him. I used to show the county, but it would be like, I'm so proud of you. Look at where you've come. All your dreams are coming true. Rose, I knew you were going to be able to build this business like you have. I mean, we're running $1 million from a girl who came from nothing to running $1 million, to having a place in Nashville, to somebody telling you, I already knew you could do it. Look at you. I mean, just long messages from him saying, you were going to do great. I always knew you were. Why would you do that to somebody knowing what you have going on in the back end? You're talking about this man had to know for months what he was doing, because I ended up having to pay the government months of back taxes immediately when all this stuff ended, because they don't wait on theirs. All of us, anybody that sued Kade, me included, we're out $60,000+. $60,000 didn't happen. But to sleep at night, to know that I tried, for all the people who believed in me, in my family, I needed to sue him. I didn't need to sue him. I could have saved a ton of money and not. And people say, why? Why was his reasoning? I mean, I don't know. I just say, would you ever go visit him? Hell yeah, I would. I figured out what I'd ask him. Why'd you call me that morning? Were you calling me to tell me that my life was over? And you had messed up? And everything was going to come crashing down? And you were trying to give me a heads up before you got arrested? Or were you calling me because you had no clue? I, at that point, sold my house. I didn't know. My company, Twisted Foods, continued on for about a week so I could figure it out. Everybody showed up to work every day. We didn't know what we were going to do with Twisted Foods business all week. Running numbers. I still have them on my computer. Would Twisted Foods make it? How much money did it need? Was it going to be okay? And we were, basically, Twisted Foods was making a lot of money in Jonesboro. And Twisted Foods Nashville was just breaking even. And that was the goal. But as a normal, small girl who like, Kade was my backer, was my motivator, was everything that I knew I could stay stable. I couldn't take that risk. I mean, could I? Absolutely. We could have kept going. We could have taken that risk. We could have moved forward. But again, I have to move back to Nashville. I have to keep all these people. If I'm suffering this much trauma myself, What are they enduring? At this point, oh, I knew what I needed to do. I needed a close twisted fence. I needed to let go of my pride. I needed to let go of everything I wanted. And I needed to close twisted fence. It was just time. I knew I couldn't do it alone. It's not that I didn't have people in my corner, but those people, we have probably caused a lot of trauma, including myself. So we paid the 1 week payroll that we could. And I remember making that decision and telling my staff that decision. And they called everybody back up. And you remember my whole family worked for me at this point. My mom, my dad, my brother, and my sister-in-law helped every day. To walk from our office building to the actual Twisted Foods location. To tell people it was over. It's the worst feeling of my life. Those people, a $200 or $400 check. Most didn't realize that it was $17,000 for me that I borrowed against Rose Hankins, not against Twisted Foods. There was no Twisted Foods. I borrowed it against Rose Hankins to make sure they got paid at least 1 week. Nobody knows that I'll have to pay on that for a long time. Nobody knows that my lawsuit cost me over $60,000 myself to sue Kade. What did we get? We won. What did we win? A piece of paper that states that he's wrong and we were right and that he stole everything we had. What did I get? Nothing more. I got a $2.5 million settlement. People are like, oh, it must be so cool to get that. No, it's just a piece of paper. And so what Kade left me with was 3 months of IRS bills, a whole week of groceries, which was about $30,000. He left me with 2 payrolls, which equivalent over $40,000. He left me with the government taxes alone, probably close to $14,000, and I'm not done. Multiple bills I can't even tell you or account for, probably $20,000. 2 loans he took out in our name, and he claimed he was the owner of Twisted Foods, $200,000. Nashville, $483,000, and probably some more I'm missing. So Kade took my $1 million business. He left me with nothing, and just add up those bills. We had only worked so hard to get where we were. He left me in the biggest rut, I feel like. Yeah, he left me tortured, traumatized, and I'm already single. I'm single and I'm 33, and I have always put my business first, and as I always would. My business was my child. So if you can imagine losing the closest person to you, that's what happened to me. I lost the closest person to me. The person that made me feel whole. The person that made me get up out of bed in the morning. I lost the person that
gave me life. I lost me. And now I'm just trying to figure out who I am and what that means. And try not to let others' words affect me.
I live for jumping off a cliff. I live for taking the risk. I live for knowing if I can or can't do it. I live for knowing I don't really care if my bills aren't paid tomorrow. I need my bills paid, but I don't care. I live for those moments, and that's who I was. So I knew I couldn't go backwards. I knew I had to move forward. And so there involved Twisted Cookie Dough, and from 1,000 tubs to 10,000 tubs, here we are. And it's doing well. I'm still here. I'm thankful that I'm alive, and that's a big part. And I always used to walk into Twisted Foods and would say, like, if anybody was having a bad day, like, guys, look at what we've done today. Look at what we have gotten to walk into today. Look at what we get to come to as our job. Like, how cool. And I feel that way to this day. And I am thankful to be alive. And I don't wish what had happened to me upon anyone. I just hope that you guys, somebody gets something from this story, and that you rise, overcome, survive, and evolve. I call it Rose. And that's my story. And hopefully we'll see justice one day on the Kade holiday situation. I just have to do me, because this is me. To some of you guys, this is just a photo shoot. Woo! I'm ready to make it best first dance. But to me, it's my comeback. And it's a chance of like playing my dreams out of my head. And you can get everybody. So I just wanted to say thank you, ML Ball. I wanted you here. Because it's been 453 days. Woo! God! Since I didn't have anything. And I never thought I'd be here. Able to afford a photographer. Why is she crying? Make a friend and a food stylist. Have my teammates by my side with me again. For the amazing support of such a great family. So all I wanted at Twisted Foods was to stand at the top of my mountain and say I've made it. We didn't get to do that in 2020, and I never thought I'd be okay again. But because of literally you guys right here, I'm back to Rose. I have risen, overcome, survived, and evolved. So repeat after me. God is good, and God is good all the time. So now, from 1 tub of dough to 10,000 tubs of dough, all in 1 year. Let's choose to live out our dreams together and dough better together. So raise your dough, and here's to the next 10,000. Let's do this! Woo! Woo!